I first started, I graduated from theater school in '78, but I got my first paying voice gig in '77 in the school. I had to pay me $75, and it was doing a basically like a travelogue for a nursing home, old folks home, and I was terrible at it, I think, because when you're in theater school, they teach you to articulate and be absolutely perfect in your diction and your tones and whatnot. And I sounded like a pompous boob in the in the video, but apparently it worked. So there you go. And there wasn't really much of a market for voiceover here for commercials, but it was like, you know, there was the radio guys and a couple of guys who did all the commercials, and so it was. I thought, well, I'm not going to get into it. It's a closed shop. And moved to Ottawa with my wife because she got seconded to the telephone company in 1980, and I started farming around. And well, apparently because it's the capital of Canada, the Ottawa, they do a lot of instructional videos for their various departments. And I got keyed into doing this. So I was working for Secretary of State, Defense, Appliance Services, all these different departments where you would do a 250-page narration on superannuation and pension benefits, the leave reporting system. And you go, and it's this dry stuff, but it paid the rent, right? And my first cartoon gig was at Atkinson Film Arts with Budge Crawley, and Budge Crawley was famous because he made the Oscar-winning film The Man Who Skied Down Everest. Well, he did all the sound, and he won an Oscar for the sound. And so I thought, wow, that'd be cool. So they were doing Kenner Classics, and the first one they were doing was Hiawatha. So I went and read for it, and I ended up getting most of the parts, including Hiawatha. And that basically launched my cartoon career, and I'd hooked up with these guys called Stage Fright in Ottawa, with one guy, just embellish, a fellow named Rick Jones, who does a lot of Disney things like Tailspin and Care Bears and blah, 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 who was a big cartoon guy. And he said, oh yeah, try this. So I tried it, and I got into Alien Star Lost or whatever, the Alien Kidnapped or something like that for CGOH in Ottawa, and various other voice gigs, commercial gigs, and so on. When I moved back to Vancouver, animation had just started to make inroads, and the first thing they brought up here was Barbie and the Rockers, which I got a part as an MC, and another thing called Tech Force, I think it was called. Didn't get anything on that, and started. I'm just recalling and clicking through. Started through. My first audition for a cartoon here was a big series was G.I. Joe, and I read for that, and I ended up getting Metalhead and Road Pig and Sci-Fi, a few of the characters on G.I. Joe. And then that moved on to Kissy Fur, Captain Nintendo, Captain N the Dream Master, or Captain Zed the Dream Master, and King Arthur, Knights of Justice, blah, blah, blah. And then we came up to a cartoon called Transformers or Beast Wars, which they had to change to Beasties here in Canada because we don't like war. We're a peaceful country. Anyway, I read for the part of Optimus. Initially, I read for the part of Megatron, and they had me go back to Optimus. I got Optimus. And it was funny, you were mentioning earlier about David Kay. David Kay originally read for Optimus, and he ended up getting Megatron. So our paths crossed many, many times throughout the show. So that's basically my start. My advice to would-be voice actors: be prepared for a lot of misery. No, learn to read. That's the most specific thing I can come up with is learn to read and get it off the page, because the more you comprehend when you read, the more your imagination can picture. And because the way that voice acting works is that your emotional, physical, intellectual, and geographical intents have to be absolutely clear. Because if they're not clear, your audience won't believe you. And they also have to be clear because the animator draws around your voice. You don't voice the animation, they draw around your voice. So whatever you bring to the character in that way, the animator uses, like gestures, a vocal inflection, the strain when you get out of a chair and so on. They use all that. So the more that you can, picture the movie from whatever you're reading, the easier it is to create it, and that's what you're doing. You're creating a reality. The other thing about cartoon voicing is just because it's, well, not in the case of the Transformers, just because it's a funny, wacky voice like Donald Duck, you have to play that reality. And it's not like, I have people come up to me literally at least once or twice a week who come up and say, I could be a voice guy. I can do those funny voices. What? And I go, yeah, but can you do Shakespeare and make it believable? Can you do that voice and be sad and miserable or happy or thoughtful? Those are the keys. You're playing a hyper reality, but it's a very real place, and people have to care about you as a character, because if they don't care about you, then they won't watch you, right? And that's what is key in voice acting. As far as getting started, the nuts and bolts of it, well, every place is different, but you make yourself a 3-minute demo tape of a scattering of different characters, heroes, villains, sidekicks, comic relief, whatever, and put it in a not more than 3-minute format, usually a story or something that you've written, put it together, and then farm it out to the various animation houses or theatrical agents and wherever you live. And you can also do a commercial voice one as well and put that out. But that's the key thing, is to really have your acting chops down. It's not just about making funny voices. Personifies me as a person. Well, I would say, it sounds kind of funny, but I would say the Optimus character pretty much sums up who I am. I'm pretty straight ahead, and I don't really get into all the bull crap that we're involved in, and I like to think that I live a sort of a straight ahead, no drinking, no drugs, that kind of a life. And that's Optimus is that kind of a guy. He's can be tough when he needs to be tough, but he's not evil, and fair. I guess that's a key word, is fair. But I think I bring a lot of that to whatever I do, because most of the characters I play in film and television are usually policemen or arbiters of some sort. And my favorite character live action is Inspector Polachuk on the Cold Squad series, which is that's about as close to me as you're going to get. A little bit of humor, a little bit of misery, surliness, but never really spiteful. And those places, or that kind of acting, the film acting, brings a little bit of nuance to the cartoon acting, because you're basically playing another reality. It's just not this one. Working with the ensemble cast of Beast Wars is probably the most fun I've ever had. It was, you had a collection of people in there who were an absolute hoot. You had Al Willows, Ian Corlett, David Kay, Scott McNeil, Jim Burns, Venus Terzo, Pauline, what the hell's her last name? Newston, Pauline Newston, um, Richard Newman, all of them. I mean, those are the ones I can think of in my head. We had an absolute ball. We just, I'd tease the hell out of Scott, and he'd throw paper at me. I remember falling asleep one day and being covered with paper in the studio because I didn't have much to do in this episode, and it was warm, and I thought, well, I'll just lay down here and just relax. I'm gone, and was covered in paper. And do all the same things to you. I used to love to tease the character of that Ian played, Cheetor, and he would stand beside me, and he was very easy to distract. So it was great, and our director was just lovely, absolutely lovely. Sue Blu, we worked with her for quite a few years, and the writers would come in and the directors would come in and they'd all watch, and it was just fun for all those years. It was fun. Well, the Coca-Cola story, what had happened is I was doing an episode of Captain Zed, the Dream Master, or Dream Patrol. And it was for Scottish TV, I guess, or English TV. It was an English TV series. And I played this guy named Captain Flannel, who was, if only I could meet me. It was that kind of he was a very prissy kind of guy. But one day they were making the episode was about bad nightmares, and they had this burp organ, and they had to make the most annoying song in the world, and the annoying song was, "This is a song that'll get on your nerves, get on your nerves, get on your nerves. This is a song that'll get on your nerves, get on your nerves," and accompanied by a burp organ. They went burp, like this. So I had to make this huge burp. So I said, "Give me a can of Coke." So I drank this Coke. I just wolfed it down. I didn't think. And I went to go like this, and the foam just shot out of my mouth all over my script. And then I went, and it all went right back. It was the most amazing thing. I never even messed my script. It touched and just like that. And I went, my God. And Phil Hayes, who was there also, was lying. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't the burp organ one. It was Sonic the Hedgehog. It was another big burp thing. But Phil fell on the floor, and he was lying there on the floor, couldn't get up for 5 minutes. The girl who was the production gal in the studio was sitting there trying to write down the takes, and she couldn't do it. She was lying on the floor. She was just laughing. It was the most amazing thing anybody had ever seen, because it just, like this big ball of foam, it just came whoosh, and it hit the paper and came right back. It was the most, it'll be immortalized. I think somebody has it on tape somewhere, with Phil going, "Oh, oh, oh, no, oh my God, did you see that? Oh my God." As far as how the character of Primal had evolved, yeah. I loved the first season of Primal. I loved the second season of Primal. In the third season, he started going a little mystical. And, the seeds of the future lie buried in the past and all these kind of things. I really wasn't... That's Beast Machines. Beast Machines. And I really wasn't too keen on that, because I just felt that, well, that was, for me anyway, I felt that all the characters, all they were doing was sniping at each other all the time. And it just got to be, we were missing the point of the story, to my mind, is that the point of the story is to our home planet, you know, and solve our problems together as a team. But we kept, it was almost like a divorce. It started falling apart, you know. Then it started getting back into who Optimus is. As far as Optimus Prime in the Energon and Cybertron and all those cartoons, the character of Optimus Primal was not there. They wanted the old classic style, like Peter Cullen. Oh, if that's his name, Peter Cullen, or Peter Cullen from the 80s. My mind is just not as sharp as it used to be, but they wanted him harder and tougher, and I sort of liked it, but because it was ADR, I never got to inject any of my personality into that character. It was basically fill in this time, and it was a bit difficult. But you know, you do the best you can in the circumstances. But I was limited by time, so it was not my rhythms that were playing. Because one of the complaints I used to hear is, well, I love Primal, but I didn't like the Optimus in Cybertron and so on. I said, well, because it's not me. For Optimus Primal, I got to put in my sense of fair play, my emotions as far as I was concerned, my feelings, my rhythms, and to inject some compassion and some empathy in the character. Like I remember having scenes with Cheetor when Cheetor was in one episode was, what's it all about? And everything's falling apart, and I said, it's okay, you know, we'll take care of it. You know, he was so sad about the death of Dinobot, and I said, no, it's okay. You know, I know how hard it is, and that to me was a more well-rounded character. It's not just get out there and go get them. Oh, smash them, men! It's like, we got to think about this for a second. Well, Susan Blu, as a voice director, is, to my mind, she was very intense, very passionate about what she wanted, and she had a very specific idea about what she wanted, which was great. I mean, she comes from a very long line of shows like Ninja Turtles and the Backstreet Boys and Beast Wars and various other shows, and I really admired her energy and her infectious personality. She's quite a wonderful gal. Sometimes I disagreed with some of the things that she wanted to do, and I'm going, what are you talking about? It goes this way. And they say, okay, try it that way. Try it that way. And oh, okay, no, that's okay, your way's better. But she was very experienced and very good and a lot of fun, and made every day of going in there quite enjoyable. Yes. I felt I had a lot more input in the prelay. I had a lot more creative control as far as the character was concerned. I had a lot more variation in the ADR. It goes beep beep beep, bam, and you've got to hit it, and you've got to be in and out in this prescribed time. So however you do that is how you done. I had tried my damnedest to put as much of my character, myself, into that ADR, but it never quite comes off the same as prelay because it's all organic in prelay. In the ADR, it just seems to be a bit more contrived. Basically, as far as storyboarding is concerned, we never did get any storyboarding on the Beast machines. Beasties, Beast Machines, whatever. We never got storyboards. There was descriptive, scenes in the scripts, and occasionally, or most of the time, a director would be there and say, well, he's going to run from here to here and then jump up here, and we need a jump that's at least this long, and we would input that. But when you read the scripts had very good descriptions between the lines in them. So you could, again, as I say, when you read, you can create the movie, and once you can create the movie in your own head, hopefully that creation will translate to the guys who are drawing it. And of course, a lot of input came from the directors themselves, the animation directors, and Susan Blu, who had a very good eye for it. So that's, yeah, we got a fair amount of input as to how it was going to be blocked out. But most of it is our own imagination. I'm not surprised by its popularity at all, because the toys themselves will keep me amused for hours and hours just trying to figure out how they all fold together. To me, it's like an engineering delight to watch how they work, and the characters embody a lot of things that we aspire to. We need heroes, and we want our heroes to be heroes and our villains to be villains. We don't like that middle of the road where I'm a hero today and a villain in an hour from now, or we selectively be heroes. When you're straight and true, you're straight and true all the time, not just part of the time. And I think for the fans who love collecting all the collectibles and the toys and that, and the characters are very memorable, and the toys are actually quite pleasurable to look at. And whether we like it or not, we don't like, human beings don't like ambiguity a lot of time. I mean, we don't. We like, in the ideal world, everything would be cut and dried and clear, and we'd understand everything. And I think that's one of the great things about Transformers is you can understand it. And it's this world that you go, yes, the bad guys are bad, the good guys are good, and good will vanquish the bad guys. And kids can be pests, but they're okay. That's my pet peeve with Transformers. The little kids. What are they doing there? Why are kids in space? I want to know. But we accept that reality, so there you go. And I think that's what people like about it, is its clarity.